Hi there, it's Bari Norman from Expert Admissions. COVID has changed a lot of things, and one of them is how students can do a college search. I wanted to talk about how you can navigate the college search process when it can be difficult to get to campus and when tours may not be offered and the traditional ways that you're used to learning about schools are not necessarily available to you. So a couple of things. One is that there are some campuses, believe it or not, that are still doing tours. Some of them are doing single families at a time, and they certainly require reservation in advance. Others are doing smaller tours, but nonetheless still doing group tours outside. I'm not aware of any school that's doing tours that allow you into buildings. So tours pretty much now are just exterior, kind of movement through the campus. And you still can talk to students, and you can still go on campus. In a lot of instances, you can just go onto campus yourself and do a self-tour and talk to regular students who you see out and about. Even if they're in remote learning, students are on campus. I went on campus last week, upstate New York. I was there, and I walked on to the Skidmore campus and I walked around. I didn't go into any buildings. Actually, I did. I take that back. I did go into a building, went into the dining hall, and they let me in without a problem. And as long as I was wearing a mask, which I was, of course. And I talked to a ton of students and was able to really get a good sense of how life was like now that they were there with all these restrictions on their ability kind of to socialize and congregate and move around campus. So you can absolutely do that if you can physically get to campus, and that might mean getting in a car and driving. It might mean getting on a plane if you feel comfortable, but there is the possibility to see most campuses in person one way or another. Now, if you can't do that, or if you're not comfortable doing that, and even if you can get to campus, you should take advantage of the virtual opportunities that are available. One of the good things that's come out of the pandemic is that colleges have really stepped up their game with regard to virtual programming. So they're on Instagram more, especially on stories. Follow the admissions accounts of the schools that you're interested in. You can also follow the general university or college accounts, but the admissions accounts are the ones that are really trying to engage with prospective students. They have a ton of current students on there. They do lives. They do their own kind of virtual tours. They do Q&As. So you can kind of get a good vibe and get a sense of whether the school might be a good fit for you. And you get to see a little bit more of an unfiltered view because so often students are doing the takeovers there, which is really nice, even if they're admissions ambassadors. In addition to that, a lot of colleges are doing info sessions, panels, they're doing chats, all sorts of very cool things. Admissions officers themselves are more accessible than they've ever been to individual students because of all of this virtual programming. It's also important to remember that if you get an email from a college and they announce some kind of virtual program, it's a good idea to show up and to click through and to stay on for a bit. Those are all things that they can and do track. And this year in particular, colleges are going to be looking at or trying to be looking for indications of which students are actually interested. Typically they have other ways of knowing. Have you met them on the road when they've come to your high school or to a college fair or to a presentation in your city? Have you come to campus? This year, I would also suspect that colleges that might not pay close attention to demonstrated interest might be paying some attention to it, and places that typically pay attention to it are going to have even more ways that they're tracking that. So just be mindful of it. But really the best thing that you can do, as always, is talking to current students. So whether it's on campus, whether you can connect with somebody through text, by phone, get in touch with real students who are currently on campus. First years aren't super helpful because they're experiencing things in this really funky environment. But even if that's the only people you can speak with, speak to first years, but try and get in touch with a sophomore, a junior, a senior who can tell you what campus life is like, can give you the ins and outs, can tell you what they would like to change and what they're happy with. And from there, you can determine what's a deal breaker for you. Someone might be really upset about something happening on campus and it's not a real issue for you. Another student might talk very excitedly about something on campus and it can be a real turnoff for you. But you really want to get those unfiltered views. Another great way to find that out is to Google the student newspaper for a campus. You're going to see a ton of opinion pieces there. You'll see the real headlines about what's going on campus, not just what they want to publicize. And it's a great way, again, to get an unfiltered view. So give it a try. Don't despair if you can't get to campus, and use the virtual opportunities that are now available. And if you have any questions, make sure to DM us.